you. I'm going to ask you 3 multiple choice questions. Use this device to answer. The first question is, how did the number of deaths per year from natural disaster, how does that change during the last century? Did it more than double? Did it remain about the same in the world as a whole, or did it decrease to less than a half? Please answer, A, B, or C. I see lots of answers. This is much faster than I do it at universities. They are so slow, they keep thinking. Oh, very, very good. And we go to the next question. So how long did women 30 years old in the world go to school? 7 years, 5 years, or 3 years? A, B, or C? Please answer. And we go to the next question. In the last 20 years, how did the percentage of people in the world who live in extreme poverty change? Extreme poverty, not having enough food for the day. Did it almost double? Did it remain more or less the same, or did it half? A, B, or C? Now, answers. You see, death from natural disasters in the world, you can see it from this graph here, from 1900 to 2000. In 1900, there was about 500,000 people who died every year from natural disaster, floods, earthquake, volcanic eruption, whatever, droughts. And then, how did that change? We asked, Gapminder asked the public in Sweden. This is how they answered. The Swedish public answered like this. 50% thought it had doubled, 38% said it's more or less the same, 12% said it had halved. This is the best data from the disaster researchers. And it goes up and down, and it goes to the Second World War, and after that it starts to fall, and it keeps falling, and it's down to much less than a half. The world has been much, much more capable as the decades go back to protect people from this, So only 12% of the Swedes know this. So I went to the zoo and I asked the chimps. Can you see? The chimps doesn't watch the evening news. So the chimps, they just choose by random. So the Swedes answer worse than random. Now, how did you do? That's you. You were beaten by the chimps. But it was close. You were 3 times better than the Swedes, but that's not enough. You shouldn't compare yourself to Swedes, You must have higher ambitions in the world. Let's look at the next answer here. Women in school. Here you can see men went 8 years. How long did women go to school? Well, we asked the Swedes like this. And that gives you a hint, doesn't it? The right answer is probably the one where fewest Swedes pick, isn't it? Let's see. Here we come. Yes. Women have almost catched up. This is the US public. And this is you. Here you come. Ooh. Well, congratulations, you're twice as good as the Swedes, but you're not with me. So how come? I think it's like this, that everyone is aware of that there are countries and there are areas where girls have great difficulties. They are stopped when they go to school, and it's disgusting. But in the majority of the world, where most people in the world live, most countries, girls today go to school as long as boys, more or less. That doesn't mean that gender equity is achieved, not at all. They still are confronted to terrible limitations. But schooling is there in the world today. Now, we miss the majority. When you answer according to the worst places, and there you are right, but you miss the majority. What about poverty? Well, it's very clear that poverty here was almost halved. And in US, when we asked the public, only 5% got it right. And you? You almost made it to the chimp. That little, just a few of you, There must be preconceived ideas, And many in the rich countries, they think that, oh, we can never end extreme poverty. Of course they think so, because they don't even know what has happened. The first thing to think about the future is to know about the present. These questions were a few of the first one in the pilot phase of the Ignorance Project in Gapminder Foundation that we run. And it was started, this project, last year by my boss and also my son, Ola Rosling. He's co-founder and director. And Ola told me we have to be more systematic when we fight devastating ignorance. So already the pilots revealed this, that so many in the public score worse than random. So we had to think about preconceived ideas. And one of the main preconceived ideas is about world income distribution. Look here, this is how it was 1975. It's the number of people on each income. From $1 a day. See, there was one hump here, around $1 a day. And then there was one hump here, somewhere between $10 and $100. The world was two groups. It was a camel world, like a camel with two humps. The poor one and the rich ones. And there were fewer in between. But look how this has changed. As I go forward, what has changed, the world population has grown, and the humps start to merge. The lower hump merge with the upper hump. And the camel dies and we have a dromedary world with one hump only. The percent in poverty has decreased. Still, it's appalling that so many remain in extreme poverty. We still have this group, almost 1 billion over there, but that can be ended now. The challenge we have now, is to get away from that, understand where the majority is. And that was very clearly shown in this question. We asked, what is the percentage of the world's 1-year-old children who have got those basic vaccines against measles and other things that we've had for many years? 20, 50 or 80%. Now, this is what the US public and the Swedish answered. And you see, look at the Swedish result, you know what the right answer is. Who the heck is professor of global health in that country? Well, it's me. It's me. You see? It's very difficult, this. It's very difficult. However, Ola's approach to really measure what we know made headlines. And CNN published these results on their web, and they had the questions, there are millions answered, and I think there was about 2,000 comments. And this was one of the comments, I bet no member of the media passed the test, he said. So Ola told me, take these devices, you are invited to media conferences, give it to them and measure what the media know. And ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, the informal result from a conference with US media. And then lately from the European Union media. You see, the problem is not that people don't read and listen to the media. The problem is that the media doesn't know themselves.